And we begin tonight with an Airbnb nightmare. A family from Arkansas was vacationing in Scottsdale when they made a disturbing discovery. A hidden camera disguised as a smoke detector was right above their bed. Good evening and thanks so much for joining us. For 12 News at 10, I'm Kariba Devine. Mark Curtis has the night off. This is all according to a recently filed lawsuit. 12 News journalist Bianca Bono is joining me live in studio tonight. And Bianca, the details of this story just kind of make your skin crawl.
They really do. I'm told after this family spent their first night in the house, they woke up the next morning and noticed that the smoke detector was in an unusual place. And upon closer inspection, they say they realized it was a camera with years worth of footage. This large Scottsdale home in the Paradise Heights neighborhood near Shea Boulevard and 114th Street is now at the center of a federal lawsuit.
It's a very upsetting thing.
Joseph Brown is an attorney representing the victims who rented this home when it was an Airbnb in March of last year. They were vacationing in the valley from Arkansas, prepared to spend $2,700 for their 5-night stay. But their vacation took a twisted turn after the first night.
Go on vacation as a family and we're going to have a great time. And instead you have this horrific event.
A newly filed lawsuit against the property owner and Airbnb says the family's 2 kids went to bed and the couple went into the primary bedroom, sharing some intimate moments. The next morning, they noticed a smoke detector directly above their bed. It seemed unusual, so they took a closer look, realizing it was actually a hidden camera. Inside the camera, a memory card with footage of several people dating back to 2020.
I think their biggest concern was that, what was recorded? Were their kids filmed? Is there stuff in their kids' room that they couldn't find?
They called Scottsdale police and Airbnb as they packed their bags and left. 12 News attempted to speak with residents at the home on Friday. Nobody answered the door, but a few minutes later, we've been trying to reach the owners. A man and woman came outside, and when we started asking questions, they said no comment.
How many people have stayed in this home and not realized that that camera was there?
In a statement, Airbnb saying hidden cameras have always been and will always be banned on Airbnb, and issues are exceptionally rare. We supported the guest and suspended the host from the platform last year, and we stand ready to assist law enforcement with any investigation into this allegation.
You've gotten more reaction from Airbnb than we have. We couldn't even get a return phone call.
Scottsdale police say their investigation remains open and active.
Very perverse reasons that someone put a camera over the top of the master suite bedroom. And I think that that's really shocking to me that Scottsdale PD really didn't dive into this much further.
And according to Scottsdale records, the owner of that home was cited for failing to have a required vacation rental license and for failing to respond to an emergency at their rental property. Again, the police investigation remains open and they are searching for additional victims. We're live in studio tonight. Bianca Bono, 12 News.
All right, Bianca, thank you. New tonight, 3 prison inmates are dead following an altercation at a facility in southern Arizona. It happened this morning at the state's correctional facility in Tucson. The Arizona Department of Corrections says that Ricky Wassenaar is the sole suspect, adding that they believe he acted with intent to harm the 3 inmates. They have been identified as Saul Alvarez, Thorne Hornage, and Donald Lashley. Officials say that this remains an ongoing investigation. They say there is no ongoing threat inside the prison. The Scottsdale Police Department has released some new video of a shooting involving their officers that left a suspect dead and a police canine injured. It happened last month in the area of Scottsdale and McKellips Road. Police say that it all started when they got a call about someone being threatened with a gun after a car crash. Now, police were able to track the suspect to a hotel parking lot where the man refused to obey their commands. Police say that at one point the man reached into the back of the seat of the car just as police deployed a canine into the window. That's when one of the officers fired his weapon, hitting the suspect and the canine. 42-year-old Joseph Santos was pronounced dead at the scene. No officers were injured and the police canine is expected to be okay. Well, we're keeping you in the loop about things happening in the West Valley. In Glendale, voters will soon vote on one aspect of the Vi Resort in a special election. In November, the City Council voted to incorporate 10 acres owned by Vi into the resort project, changing the zoning so that it could be used for corporate office space. Voters have the chance to reverse the council decision to keep the space zoned for its original use of green space. Vi says that the reversal could delay their timeline even more. The resort was originally slated to open in 2023, but that has now been pushed back to late 2025. All right, time now to see what is in store with your weekend weather. Let's check in with meteorologist Crystal Long for a first look at your weather impact forecast.
In the next 24 hours, we're going to see what's left of our winter weather whirl on out of here in eastern Arizona. And then it'll be back to the old drawing board. And you know what that means. High pressure is going to follow suit in a big way, and we're going to be in meltdown mode. So enjoy the 14 inches of fresh powder we just piled up on the slopes of Snowbowl while you've got it. Now, they're hosting their Cardboard Derby Classic tomorrow morning, so that one should be an extra fun day out on the slopes. Not so fun with those winds whizzing on in up to 30 miles an hour and that temperature that stays in freezing territory all day long. Sunnier and milder for your Sunday. As we look ahead at your weekend all across Arizona, you could see that we're shaking off the showers here, letting in that golden sunshine and starting to dial up the degrees on the thermometer. Low 80s for the valley will take you back into the 60s in Rim Country on Sunday, and 50s finally on Sunday for the White Mountains in northern Arizona.
All right, Crystal, thank you. New at 10, a Buckeye father is fighting for his life after narrowly escaping a fire. Firefighters pulled the man out of a mobile home filled with black smoke near Yuma and Miller Roads late Tuesday morning. 12 News journalist Gabriela Becerra spoke with the man's family and has details on his recovery from Buckeye.
Tyler Whitchurch moved into his new home 1 week ago today, but after just 3 days of living there, a fire started and destroyed everything inside and nearly took his life.
The definition of tragedy is what's happening to him now, without a doubt.
Wooden boards now cover the home 34-year-old Tyler Whitchurch worked so hard to buy for himself and his 2 daughters.
He's an amazing individual. He's a great soul.
The Buckeye father was home alone early Tuesday morning when the fire started. Neighbors smelled the smoke and called 911.
Black smoke everywhere. You can see where the firemen went in and did everything they can to release the smoke.
Tyler's stepfather, Matt York, tells me those firefighters found Tyler unconscious on the floor from smoke inhalation and carried him out. He's now on a ventilator as doctors try to reduce the swelling in his throat and remove soot from his lungs.
They're doing everything they can, and he's in really good hands.
Tyler's sister, Morgan Lovano, says she believes her brother was trying to save his pet tortoise named Bowser.
He was awake for a couple minutes the other night, and he asked about his tortoise. That's the first thing he asked about. So that leads us to think, like, and I know my brother, like, that's the first thing he would grab.
Family also suspects it was Bowser's habitat that may have started the fire.
He had the heat lamps, so we don't know if it was faulty wiring or, it's still under investigation.
The fire comes nearly 5 months after Tyler's brother was nearly killed in a motorcycle accident. The 2 incidents giving this family a new outlook on life.
It just puts a whole new perspective on family and friends.
Tyler's recovery is far from over, and his family is relying on support from family and friends to help them through this difficult time.
This is going to be the toughest part because, you look up ARDS, there's nothing positive, but they said he's a fighter.
A GoFundMe was started to help Tyler and his family recover some of his items. If anyone wants to donate, we have a link on 12news.com. In Buckeye, Gabriela Becerra, 12 News.
All right, Gabby, thank you. Now to a story that you'll only see on 12 News. Students at an Arizona high school were told that an active shooter drill was the real thing. It happened at Snowflake High School, 3 hours northeast of the valley. 12 News journalist Sean Rice spoke with parents and law enforcement on whether parents should have been told ahead of time that this was going to happen.
Wednesday afternoon, a bell rung through the halls of Snowflake High School saying this is not a drill, indicating there was an active shooter on campus. The students, some staff, and all of the parents were completely unaware that the police department, in coordination with school leaders, were trying to make a drill feel realistic. That move has some parents saying it was what was necessary to make the students take it seriously, while others tell me they feel it caused unnecessary harm.
Finding classrooms with students who are having conversations, laughing, joking, walking in the halls after the school had been put into lockdown, finding unsecured doors.
That's the reaction from Snowflake High students last October when the police department executed a planned active shooter drill where both the students and staff knew it was coming. Police Chief Robert Martin says he approached leadership from the school and the district about doing something different.
We arrived on campus with about 9 police officers in different directions, and the process was to find a staff member and have them lock down the school. Make sure that protocol was being followed, make sure those things are in place so that everybody knows how to do that.
The chief tells 12 News they wanted to make the drill as realistic as possible. A bell rung throughout the high school indicating that an active shooter was on campus. 9 members of the police department swept the school, telling the students it was a lockdown. Neither the parents nor the students were told in advance that a drill was happening that day.
Protocols and those things that we take serious to ensure the safety of our students. If we need to adjust those to make that more realistic and more effective without causing those types of issues, then we look forward to that opportunity.
That decision is not sitting well with all parents. One mom sharing this text message anonymously with 12 News. It's what her daughter texted her on Wednesday afternoon. It reads, quote, "We are at the high school for choir and we might die. There is an active shooter at the high school. I love you." Parents like Caleb Overbay feel getting that as a parent is unacceptable.
Is the police department prepared for a parent to show up armed to rescue their children? Was the school prepared for that situation? I doubt it. Had I received that text message, I would have immediately come to the school.
Overbay says making an active shooter drill feel like the real thing is not an accepted best practice, and the impact on parents, including the trust level they have with school leaders and law enforcement, may need some repairs in the future.
But that sent many parents in this community into a panic, fearing that their children were in significant danger. That's the wrong answer.
And today, the police chief and superintendent told me they both learned a lot from Wednesday's experience, and they aim to use those things they've learned in future active shooter drills. But they tell me they largely feel Wednesday's was a success. And there certainly are parents here in Snowflake who agree with them. I spoke with multiple parents off camera. They didn't want to be interviewed, but they told me they feel as though this is what was necessary for their high school students to take it seriously. In Snowflake, Sean Rice, 12 News.
All right, Sean, thank you for that.